I realized that in order to speak to this generation, we really have to go deep and help them understand what's happening and what's being taken from them, and give them those experiences in the real world to be able to feel the benefit of true connection, of true authentic adventure, of living life to its fullest outside of a screen.
It's funny because I feel like with REMOJO, we're making exactly the same invitation to adults. It's just that, in a way, getting really hooked on porn is kind of means that you haven't really matured yet into a fully sort of conscious adult. And so generally we're catching people at the tipping point there and actually making that very same invitation about stepping into the person you could be. And a lot of our users basically, they're just starting to get a sense of who they could be, and they just realize that, they feel like quitting this is the first step on the journey. And they also just know that their best possible self just can't be doing that. It's just obvious. So it's funny because you're talking about exactly the same thing. I just think that like people aren't necessarily maturing until 25. They're still actually living in some ways as a child or unconsciously. Probably because I don't know what you would say about the US education system, but in the UK, there's still very, very, very little emphasis on actual life skills and preparing you to be a successful person. They prepare you to be successful in exams in all kinds of different topics. Maths, English, history, biology, whatever. You can sort of regurgitate facts and solve math problems and things like that. But there's still, as far as I'm aware, very, very little on just all the things that you actually need to succeed as an adult human being taught. I don't know, like, how you feel like the US education system is doing in that regard.
Oh, totally. I think we're outdated in so many ways, and tech definitely exposes us for that. And I think it's most apparent in the school system because we have a system that has been essentially pretty much the same for a very long time, all the way back. I mean, probably back to the 60s and 70s. And I know that different schools in different states in the United States have all different approaches and different, private and public. But in general, this whole idea of preparing kids and teens to actually take on what the challenge of the world is bringing towards them, there's a huge incoherency between what they're learning in school and what they're experiencing in the world. And I think technology companies right now, not, you have the productivity side of tech that's amazing, but the entertainment side of tech is taking advantage of that. Like, you
Mm.
know, with reckless abandon coming into every American family's home I guess on a global scale in the UK, and kind of determining, in our silence and education and in home, they're saying, well, we'll tell them what we think, and here's what we think. Come give us your time and attention, and we'll monetize that and make ourselves trillionaires. So yeah, I see the same thing, and I think it needs to be something that is just absolutely standard to go over. Living in the digital age and a tech omnipresent world needs to be fundamental to education and raising up this generation, both in the family home and in school.
Yeah, I saw related to that. I saw on your website, and you kind of mentioned this question, right? So on your website, it says, how can we raise teens to value people over pixels? Um, like, what do you think is the answer there? What have you found so far? Because I think it's the same question we have with REMOJO as well. How can we how can we teach adults or help adults value people over pixels? So I'm curious what you think.
That's a book in itself. I think that what you just mentioned, you could put a title on that and write 20 chapters. But I'll give you what my short answer would be on that is the wiring of the brain becomes the playbook of the heart. What we thread our brains to online will eventually become how we live and love offline. So when I think of that, I realize that in order to speak to this generation, we really have to go deep and help them understand what's happening and what's being taken from them, and give them those experiences in the real world to be able to feel the benefit of true connection, of true authentic adventure, of living life to its fullest outside of a screen, and also educating on how that screen can be a tool in their lives to launch them towards their goals and the things they want in life, but it's not the end goal in itself. And that's the problem. The screen has become the end goal in itself.